Okay, it's 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. on Wednesday, August 4th, 2021, and we will call to order our August council meeting. Roll call, everybody is present and accounted for. And if you'll all join me in standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Outstanding. Thank you. And welcome to everyone tonight. We have a special presentation for item number 4. CPS Energy is here with three representatives. So if I can have you come forward, sir. Very nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. You have the floor and introductions.
How about that one? Very good. First, I'd like to say hi to Nancy. Nancy and I have known each other for a number of years, and certainly a pleasure to be here before your city council today. My name is John Leal, and I'm the Director of Government Relations at CPS Energy. I've been in the utility business for 22 years and 17 years here in Bexar County. I am a county resident, not too far away, so it was a nice drive for me to get here. I do appreciate the opportunity. I want to make note of two individuals that have joined me today. Nancy Tabatis, who works in our Suburban City Relations group with us, and she is dedicated to Garden Ridge. And then a new member to our team, Julia Carrillo-Haynes, who joined us from the Edwards Aquifer Authority on March 1st of all things. And she's been here for now 5 months. And really happy to have the team here. Perspective from across utilities, gas, certainly electricity and water. A few things that the mayor wanted us to talk about, and I've got about 15 or 20 minutes. I'd like to do whatever questions you might have. But we certainly experienced as a community across the state quite the winter storm this year. We did lose, obviously, not just power to our citizens, but power to our plants. I can't talk too much about what is happening right now behind the scenes because we are in quite a bit of litigation with gas suppliers and other contracts that we have. I do believe ultimately at the end of the day, it's the best move that we can make for our customers, all of them, all 870,000 residential customers. But since then, there's a few things that happened in the state legislature. Senate Bill 3 was passed. Senate Bill 3 calls for a few things. They still need to be hashed out in rulemaking, but I think the thing that you'll find most interesting is that the state will now have a messaging system. What that looks like yet, like I mentioned, still needs to be created, but it'll be a statewide emergency system. I'd imagine it'd have to do with cell phones and text messages and alerts. There is also going to be a new weatherization standard. The standard was after the 2011 storm. We had spent approximately $17 million to get our power plants up to that level of winterization. There are some physics that happened during Storm Uri. I'll just give you an example that an 8-inch pressurized water pipe on the 8th floor of one of our power plants with water flowing through it froze solid. Those things don't typically happen in South Texas, Central Texas, but with the severity of Storm Uri, we actually physically encountered that. And there's some other things that happen at a few other plants, but we're working through those valve issues and sensors, and keeping the lights on is obviously quite a priority. We have prided ourselves on being affordable and reliable. Mixed in there is environmental stewardship, and our sixth pillar that we guide ourselves on is resiliency. The true definition of resiliency is being able to bounce back from a catastrophic event very quickly. Well, we struggle with that as well as everybody else in the state, both from a transmission, distribution, and generation side. And so it's our commitment to figure out what we're going to do to make that better going forward. What that means as we roll into the summer, we've learned that we have peak demand in winter, and we have a very similar peak demand in the summer. So it's not a quiz, but peak demand in the winter is probably around 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Peak in the summer is 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. They are opposite times of the day. Solar is more available in the summer. Obviously, with the sun setting, it makes that southwest directional use more applicable. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of sun available at 7:30 a.m. in the morning when we're needing it most. We are looking at the other things that we need to do to have our fleet of plants that are available, probably around 5,400 megawatts plus or minus of iron on the ground. But we do have an aging system. We have about 3,000 megawatts of natural gas that needs to be retired because it's in the 60-year-old category. And we can't run them flat out every summer like we have been. We've got to figure out a solution. And that's what we're doing with Flex Power Bundle. How do we mix renewables like battery and solar in with traditional power like natural gas? And so we've closed an RFP. We've got several hundred RFP that we've reviewing. We'll prioritize solar, and then we'll move forward with the other two technologies. Like I said, something that firms power as a backup, and something that is probably 50 megawatts of battery somewhere within the system. This summer, Ercot, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, put out their seasonal assessment report. There will be enough power is expected to be this summer. You might have a question of what happened in May when there was a call for conservation. Like with most plants, they need to come down in the fall and the spring for operation maintenance. That was a day that the state did not expect it to get as hot as it did. It was a call for conservation. It worked, and we avoided any rolling blackout or interruption in service. And ultimately, our goal is to keep a certain frequency so we don't lose the entire grid. It was close during Uri. If we do lose the grid as a state, it's probably about a 2 to 3 week slow startup. We are part of that startup. It's called Black Start. We do have some power plants that are tied into the system and that would do that. But that's the worst case scenario, and almost, if you'd want to call it, DEFCON 1, if you will. But through the summer, we should be in really good shape. We have been well positioned the early part of summer and expect that to continue. As we work through the summer, if you're looking at a calendar, October 1st, we've declared as our board that we will start outreach. We have always continued outreach to our customers, but our disconnects will start first with commercial customers September 1, and then with residential customers October 1st. Here's how that will look. We've had customers that we have attempted to make contact with and had no response. COVID really taught us something, that we needed to be proactive in our outreach. And so throughout most of 2020 and 21, we have turned an inbound call center to an outbound call center as well. Customers can still call us, but we made over 80,000 contacts with residential customers and provided them with some type of assistance equaling about $29 million. We're going to continue to do that. It's incumbent on the community, wherever you might be within our service territory, to make contact with us. We are willing to work with individuals, with commercial customers, small businesses, your moms and pops, and residential customers. But if we call or send you something, please be responsive. We need to make contact with you. One of the things that we did that I thought was very important, anybody who decided to make a pay arrangement with us, we waived any late fees that would be associated with that. So we've tried to work with customers for 3, 6, maybe more months worth of payment arrangements, and we continue to do that. The fact of the matter is that we're about $93 million in 30 days or more past due or imminent disconnect for, that's $93 million just for residential customers. We did a moratorium on disconnects. We did not do a moratorium on payments. So we've got to get customers back engaged with us. And that's why I talk about the importance of that. We will continue outreach. We'll put together a very aggressive marketing campaign to ensure that people know. There's evidence that they're paying attention to us. There was an inner city San Antonio resource fair this weekend that I popped into, and there was an overwhelming response. COVID and the impact of the economics was non-discriminatory. It didn't matter what part of the community you were in. It affected people, and we're seeing that. It's $110 million total if you add commercial back into it, but I'll correct myself, it's $92 million. That's 30 days or more past due for residential customers, 30 days or more past due plus those that are in imminent disconnect. I've got one more item that I'd like to brief you. Although it's in the northwest section of Bexar County, and we're in the northeast, we are in search of a new board member. Ed Kelly, who has served diligently for over 10 years, has reached his term limits. Those are 2 5-year terms. He is former USA Realco executive. We are taking applications, I mentioned, 5 p.m. Until August 31st. All that information is on our website. If you know somebody that is interested in applying for this position, please let me know. You can either contact Board Relations. I gave my number to the mayor, and Nancy has my number as well, or contact Nancy or Julia. We'd be happy to talk to them. I talked to a couple individuals yesterday. Business experience is preferred. You have to be a resident within that quadrant. And this will go to our board, who self-selects and then sends this candidate for confirmation to the San Antonio City Council, because that's one of their regulatory oversight duties as City Council for CPS Energy. I'll pause there. I'd really like some questions. I saw notes being taken. Again, John Leal, Director of Government Relations. I'm joined by Nancy and Julia.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you being here. Council, I'll open it up on the right. Go ahead, John.
Concerning the amount of energy that is used in this area, do you have an idea how much overall energy is used? Just, tell me what size and area, but South Texas or Bexar County and Comal County or whatever?
If you look at average utility bills for our area, residential, it's about 1,500 kilowatt hours a month at roughly $130, plus or minus.
But how much total?
What are our total kilowatt hours sold?
Yeah.
I've got to look that up. I've got a notepad with detail like that. We can get back to you on that.
I was just kind of curious. I suppose 1,500 times 876,000 would give an answer.
Residential. So that's probably, residential customers are the bulk of our customer base. Commercial customers, use a lot as well.
Also, how much do you anticipate going to solar? How much do you have? Well, how much do you currently have, and how much do you project to do, let's say, in the next few years?
The RFP that we went for was up to 900 megawatts of solar. That does not have to be locally, centrally located in San Antonio or Bexar County. There's high likelihood that I would think some of the development would happen somewhere in West Texas, and transmission lines would bring it into the system. We have, we probably have a couple hundred of megawatts of residential solar. And then we have a couple contracts with OCI that put us over 500. And then we had some original pilot projects that we did with Blue Wing and Duke. So we're probably in the 600 to 700 megawatt capacity in Bexar County. And then again, we're looking for 900 more megawatts.
That would be what percent of the total energy need?
It's very low. If we're at about a 5,700 megawatt system, that probably equates to 8%.
Okay, just curious.
It is a valuable resource in the summer during peak time. When I'm talking about solar power, the variances with wind, West Texas wind blows in the middle of the night when loads are low. I grew up in Corpus. The wind blows from the minute the sun rises until the minute the sun sets. It blows all day long. Panhandle Texas, about the same as West Texas. So there's a balance that you have to have with solar and wind. And then how do we balance that across the entire state as a member of Ercot? Yes, ma'am. If we're going in order, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks for being here. When there is an outage as widespread as the one in February, how does CPS prioritize who gets their power turned on first?
I will say that here's the reality of what has happened and what has transpired since. We have taken into consideration what has been traditionally considered a critical circuit or critical load. That definition is being redefined, not to add more, but to take them off. And the true definition could be used as a level 1 trauma center, air traffic control, systems of national defense, water systems, which you own and operate yourself.
Right.
We have begun to, and it's an undertaking, so it's not an overnight fix, but we are re-architecturing the grid system that we have here in San Antonio in order to make those decisions that are, the algorithm that we had could not sustain the outage. That's why you'd have your 45 minutes off, 2 minutes on, because as soon as that load came back on, it was eligible to drop again. So we went to a manual system within the first day, and that helped. But with such a large area to cover, 1,500 square miles of service territory, it was difficult. And so by re-architecturing what is deemed critical, it means lessening those that are on it and really focusing on what is the most critical. The hospitals, I mentioned Ercot, traffic control, national security, NSA, things that would require some redundant service. There are commercial customers that have also invested in dual feed. That means they're getting fed from 2 separate circuits at 2 separate substations. And that's typically your larger users. One of the things that we wanted to help, and Councilman Valdez, you were there with us, I think, the first day. We've held 2 suburban city resiliency summits. It is imperative that if we have to go through an event like Storm Uri again, I hope that we are able to manage the outages to as low as possible and share the love across the community. And that's the entire community, north, south, east, or west, across all borders. We have 31 suburban cities, San Antonio, Bexar County, and the adjoining 7 counties. We have to be able to spread that out more so that the impact to those that do have an outage is lowered. But it's essential. It doesn't have to be a Storm Uri. It could be the remnants of a hurricane coming through the coast. It could be a tornado system. And we did, in my opinion, experience a tornado system not too long ago that toppled transmission towers of ours and uprooted very large trees. If there's an event of national security and terrorism, things can change very quickly on getting equipment installed, repaired, if it's an active situation. So in order to be truly resilient, we're asking our communities, both commercial customers, residential, and municipalities, that if you feel that you have critical infrastructure that you have, please, we offered a couple of solutions, right-sizing your system here at a city hall or your water systems, having a design architect to deem those what's critical, your dispatch, your water pumps, your switching gear. Those decisions have to be made because what we learned is, unfortunately, there are some resiliency plans across the community that never took into account losing power. And we've got to think past that as a community. And we're willing to offer any type of consultative services. If cities like yourself want to bundle with other communities for the need to get some large-scale backup generators, let us help with the RFP process, or let us help with the procurement process, or some language that could be used in association with it. Buying in bulk as a group of United is probably a better pricing point than individual cities going out on their own. We are also looking at resiliency services for residential customers. There is a very well-known natural gas generator that can be installed, and they're sold through your typical box store or large warehousing store. They have a very similar programmable thermostat and program that we use for our peak saving program, so that we could probably take, if the technology proves itself, and we're still ahead of the game here, but if technology proves itself, we could probably take Mr. Valdez off, start his natural gas generator, and so we're reducing load in even smaller increments, so more at a micro level. These are just things that are coming in the future. Technology is really changing. I was just having a discussion with my mother-in-law, who's 89, from Germany, and just to think of, we're watching, the Olympic soccer at 6 a.m. in San Antonio when it's, it happened, whatever it is, 14 hours ago. So there's just things that are changing and changing very rapidly. And we've got to be able to stay on top of that technology.
So my background is in engineering, so plant operations. So my question is around, what are y'all doing to, winterize your power plants to protect them. You know, I know you can't rely on some of the wind and solar during the freeze like that, so you got to keep the power plants running.
You know, that's right. We had one of our power plants go down as it's supposed to when a sensor malfunctions. You know, there are things that we have to do. We have to think past that. So 2011 was the last most major rolling outage situation. Temperatures dipped in the wee hours of the morning. We started as a utility shedding load probably around 6:30, 6:45 that morning. It caught us quickly, as did Uri, but ensuring that insulation is appropriately installed even at the top floors. And what I hope I say, what you'll understand, our power plants are designed to release heat because in the summer, those plant floors, you know, get to be over 100 and some odd degrees. Plants up in the north build theirs to keep the cold out, right? To retain heat so that their systems can function differently. So it's almost like it's a building versus a patio, but all the equipment inside is still the same. So we're having to think about how design looks, and as a result of Senate Bill 3, there will be some winterization standards. So while we're doing some upgrades right now, we're really waiting to see and make sure that we don't under-design or over-design for what the new standard will be. Sir.
I guess we're going sequential. Thanks for coming. I do appreciate you being here. I had a bunch of somewhat grumpy person questions to ask, but I'm not going to ask any of them because they don't really apply here, and I like what I'm hearing from you. I know the storm was frustrating. You've kind of addressed a lot of my questions. I was one of the people that had, 2 minutes of power every hour. Frustratingly broke my freezer, broke my refrigerator, all those kind of things. So, and I know there's nothing you guys can do about that other than it's just a frustration that I had. It sounds like you're trying to deal with that. Trying to form an intelligent question. I'm surrounded by people that are a lot smarter than me, so. I think that's about all I got. I came here frustrated, and I'm liking what I'm hearing, so.
There's a
keep
lot of
going.
work to be done. I appreciate
Yeah.
what you're saying. Our community was heard.
Yep.
And we can do some of the changes that our community expects. With cost escalation, design, and actually doing a different work style with architecture, it's going to, the capital side of our company is very intense, and that process is probably going to get more intense as we have to look at how to be prepared for a system like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have to make the joke because as we were power going in and out, I get a phone call from my sister in Minneapolis where it was 37 degrees colder and their lights were on. And I'm like, well, we're not used to that down here now. So sounds like we're trying to deal with it though. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, yes, thanks again, as everyone else said, for coming. I had the pleasure of meeting your associates at the Northeast Partnership Lunch, and as it happens, I mentioned something that you've touched on briefly, feasibility of your company, because you have nothing else to do, investigating bulk buying of generators that you could made available to citizens who want to purchase them, not unlike a rebate program with solar savings and so on and so forth. We don't have a generator. We were, as Mr. Arvidsson, we lost a lot, and so on and so on. So I think that would help a lot in consumer and customer outreach. It would, not only would it lessen the load on the grid, it would allow us to maybe not lose all of our food, be able to heat things and so on, and things that are of concern, medical supplies, so on and so forth.
I hear you. I've had this this situation transcends not just John as a, utility person, but as a family member. I've got a responsibility to support my family in a situation of, natural disaster. And 2020 taught me a lot. My wife was scared that I was going to be a prepper at some point, but it was probably night 3 without power, and she said, are you going to buy that generator? And I said, I am. I already ordered it from Costco. That's what I was doing, sitting in the car with my phone. It's not a big one, but hopefully it'll keep a refrigerator on, maybe a couple space heaters in a bedroom, or maybe some fans during the summer. And aside that, from all the gallons of water and gasoline in my garage, I've started to be a prepper.
I personally think that Father Nature came in and brought us the storm, and Mother Nature came back in. I think they were dueling and brought us this glorious, all the green that we're seeing, but it brought with it humidity as well.
Well, that's a wonderful point, because with rain comes growth, and our next Suburban City Summit, so we've had 2 on resiliency, the next one's on reliability, and the subject of conversation is, which is a very important issue for our community across the board, is safe tree trimming. And we do need tree trimming clearances on the overhead lines in order for us to maintain reliability. Wind, mist, high wind, mist, rain, and especially lightning wreak havoc on an electrical system in no matter what state that you live. And so in order for us we want to work with every homeowner or business owner when we get there. I would hope that the last thing someone does is directly under a power line plant a palm tree, because all they do is go straight up. We have to be able to protect the system as a whole, but we want to respect individual rights. And so we'll work the best we can. But if we can get permission to sometimes remove trees completely, we will. In an emergency situation, we will kindly leave the trimmings behind, because we've got to get to the next situation in order to make sure we're keeping power, getting it restored. But in general maintenance, whether it be our crews or a contracted crew, you will see them mulching it as we leave, and we'll try to leave the area as best we could. But tree trimming is our next seminar.
And when is that seminar?
Let's see, we've set a date for September 18th. I'm sorry, August 27th.
Close. Thank you.
Yes, and we have a very extensive oak wilt mitigation plan and policy that we take very seriously. We have had for a number of years a licensed arborist, and his replacement is in the arborist class right now. So we do take that very seriously. Mayor?
Awesome. John, thanks again for being here. Excuse me, I have a couple of questions for you. The first one I have is, what is CPS's relationship with Ercot? To put it more bluntly, as an Air Force guy, what's the chain of command in Texas for you guys?
We, by state statute, as a generator of power, so we're 4 companies really. We're a natural gas company, we're a retail company where the billing and interfaces with the customers. We're transmission and distribution, which is the steel poles and the wooden poles, and we're a generator. So by statute, if you're a T&D or a generator, you have to be interconnected to Ercot to push power out of your system on a transmission line or bring power into your system. So our renewable projects are all purchase power agreements. We put the burden of the developer, we put the burden on the developer to create a product that gets energy to us. When we own our asset, the burden is on us to make sure that asset is running so we can get power back out. So we were mandated to be part of the interconnection system. And so it is impossible for us to island ourselves, if that was maybe part B of your question.
Sure, so a follow-on to that then would be, what changes have we made as a community, as a government, to help that relationship with Ercot communication between Ercot, you, and your customers?
There have been long protected, I wouldn't call them protected, but very crafted communications that didn't want to create panic. And I think that not on our part, but on regulatory agencies at a state level, it's my personal opinion that is going to change. It has to change because people are more tuned to the media apps, the Ercot app, the levels of energy alert EEAs, emergency energy alert systems. There's 3 systems. 1, you're losing generators, start to conserve. 2, you're below a certain threshold, and then 3, rolling outages have begun. So there's got to be a better level of communication from state down, and also to our more aggressive approach of communicating with customers in whatever fashion that they want to. Is it our press releases, which you can sign up for free? Is it monitoring us on social media, which is also free, CPS Energy on Facebook? Is it this new text alert system that I mentioned? How are people going to be enrolled in it? Will it be mandatory up front where you can opt out later? I think there's a lot of things from a rulemaking perspective that are going to change the level of engagement all utilities in Texas have with their customers.
Okay. Thank you. Follow on to that then. Thanks for your answer. As you know, with 22 years of experience in this business and 17 within the Bexar County area, personal experience for you, you know that communication is critical, right?
Right.
So we're Texans, we're all Texans, and we can take a lot, even the cold. Even if we're from Minnesota, we can take the cold. We can take it, but if someone's communicating with us and telling us, hey, it's gonna not be so great for a while, embrace the fact that it's not gonna be so great, and we're gonna keep on communicating with you, you're gonna make the customer feel a little bit better. We're gonna have an easier time as a city communicating to our residents to go, here's what we know, here's what we don't know, we're gonna get back to you right away. It was frustrating for me to get I did get the text from CPS saying, hey, we noticed there's a power outage in your area, would you like to report it? My first reply was yes, absolutely. And my further on replies, hopefully it's not somewhere in the archives, got a little bit more negative. And then I just got in a text war with your computer and it hung up on me. So it's the communication piece that is key. So as State Bill 3 passed a statewide emergency distribution system through text or emails or whatever, that's great. Is CPS doing something a little bit different to communicate with us other than, hey, I'm a friend of yours on Facebook, I get your newsletter?
We actually had that conversation with someone in the community today over lunch. We do have a platform. It's the platform that sends out your outage notifications. It's a good one. We could have a better one. And as the rulemaking comes out, it's incumbent on us that we match or try to exceed what's coming out instead of us buying something that is an underperformer compared to where the state's going to be, and so we look like we're lagging behind once again.
Okay.
There are decisions that are being made on how we approach that very matter today. So yes.
Okay.
There has got to be a better messaging system, without a doubt. We chose a very traditional form of communication during the storm, a form of communication that had been very successful in the past. Storm Uri changed everything. It just changed the playing field across the board. And we know that.
Okay. Here's a hypothetical question, but something that I'd like you to answer as best you can. So we had Winter Storm Uri in 2021, Snowmageddon 1. What if we know in February of 2022 is the son of Uri, Snowmageddon 22, and you know the specific date that it's going to happen? What is CPS going to do differently to help mitigate the impacts of the weather? You can't control the weather, but what are you going to do specifically? What are you doing right now to make sure that things are mitigated as best you can?
We kind of hit on it a little bit earlier. The re-architect of the transmission and distribution design is key to that element. We've probably identified very close the number of megawatts and customers that if we needed to have rolling or extended outages, we could have performed in a more equitable manner across our service territory. Without a doubt, if you look at there's a map that, and I'll go into this in a moment, the Committee on Emergency Preparedness, as chaired by former Councilman Reed Williams, it showed that a bulk of the length and the duration of the outages were carried by north side communities in Bexar County. That is not an equitable distribution. So when I mention about spreading the love to other communities, we have to figure out a way to do that so that everybody shares a little piece of the apple and not one individual group is handling 24 to 48 to 72 hours worth of outage. So that's one. And then two, as I mentioned, going past what we thought was a physical improbable freezing type of situation with some of our piping on upper decks of our power plants, and just re-looking at how we insulate our systems during extreme weather. So those things are in motion.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that the city is working on, and in this public forum, is how do we communicate with our residents and the city on a whole in emergency situations or bad things are happening. And we have met with a company that's going to give us a proposal to help us with that in the immediate future, so that if a hurricane rolls through or bad flooding or Snowmageddon 2 happens, we can communicate with our citizens real time. And if it's just to go, we don't know, but we'll get back to you, who needs help, that's the best we can do. You know that it's all about relationships. And one of the reasons that, actually the main reason that I wanted you guys to come to talk to us today at our council meeting is so that you and I and Nancy and Julia can have a relationship and keep the lines of communication open. So what I'm saying to you is, you're my go-to guy, you're my go-to team, that when I need answers or Nancy needs answers for the city of Garden Ridge, we're not demanding it, we're just looking for communication. Sure. And if all you come back with is, Rob, here's what I know, here's what I don't know, Nancy, same thing, that's okay, and we can get that out to our residents to go, hey, we're working it, as soon as we know something, we'll get right back to you, rather than the painful text war that I got in with your computers. So does that make sense, that I want that relationship with you and your team, so that when the city of Garden Ridge and our nearly 5,000 residents reach out to you to go, hey, how's the power coming, we get some sort of an answer that we can push back out to our citizens?
Absolutely it does, and let me share with you that we have traditionally maintained a team of 8, and during Storm Uri we were a team of 3. Now we're solid at 5. I think we're going to do really well, but we lost a tremendous amount of historical knowledge through attrition and retirement. Formerly here were representatives from my group, Jim McCaden, Linda Rodriguez, Roland Hinojosa. That probably adds up to about 100 years of total service for CPS Energy, and they're having a great time in retirement. Julia and Nancy came on February 1 and March 1.
Wow.
Although Nancy's been with us for about 16 years in various departments, it has been a tremendous learning curve, and COVID has not been shy on our utility as well with regard to illnesses. So it is registered and understood, and as we get back out into the community, because it's been difficult to be present for so long, expect to see us more. And I think you have a Northeast Partnership meeting next Thursday for lunch. So you'll see some of us there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
John, great job. We need to keep on going with the meeting, but I'm going to turn the microphone off, come shake your hand, and say thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes item number 4. Item number 5, city employee recognitions, employee introductions. Nancy.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Kitty Owen has sent a note expressing her appreciation and thanking the Public Works team that trimmed the tall grass and weeds along the George Ranch fence line off Bat Cave Road. Then Royce and Deborah Simons sent a note to Linda in the library, thanking her and Wendy for what they do, and they said that they are running a class act library. Okay, employee anniversaries. Michelle Hinojosa, 1 year. That's all we have this month.
Thanks, Nancy. It's been a whole year with Michelle. That's great. We are lucky to have her. Anything else? Yes, sir. Okay. That concludes item number 5. Item number 6, citizen comment period. We have one gentleman signed up. Paul, come forward. You need to turn the microphone on. And name and address, please. Thank you.
Red button there, okay. Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Paul Kling. I live at 9305 Bluebell Drive. Disc golf has been around for decades, with a recent resurgence among young professionals, and interest also spilling into the older crowd. There are multiple local, regional, and national tournaments throughout the year in multiple countries, and many instructional videos on YouTube. Over the past year, one of my sons, who grew up here but now lives in Houston, has gotten me outside to play rounds at courses locally and in the Houston area. Most courses are free to play. A few courses around here that are city-sponsored are the Universal City Park, McLean Park in San Antonio, just inside of 1604 in northeast San Antonio, and Slather Park in Cibolo, all of them 18-hole courses. These courses are just baskets placed throughout the public park or greenbelt, blending in with the overall park environment. While I would like to see a future course in some Garden Ridge greenbelt space, right now I'm here to ask if we can put up to 3 baskets in Paul Davis Park along the tree perimeter. I go out to the park a few times a week and throw my disc around, but having a few baskets out there would be a good addition to the park that doesn't infringe upon other activities. In addition, there is virtually no maintenance for these baskets other than maybe once or twice a year to paint them if they get rusty. Because of the popularity of the sport, I'm sure others will take advantage of the baskets. We could even start having little events like closest to the hole competitions, putting tournaments, etc., to encourage citizens to enjoy the baskets while in the park. I've handed out a diagram of a typical basket with some notes on it. From what I can tell through Google, the price of a quality basket is somewhere between $200 to $400, but I've also seen bulk purchases where you get them price per basket is less. They stand about 56 inches high. And on the other side of the handout, there's a schematic of Paul Davis Park with some suggestions of placing the baskets in inconspicuous areas slightly recessed into the border trees. There's actually room out there for 5 or 6 baskets if strategically designed. I also made some people nervous last night when I was walking around in the woods with my measuring tape and doing things. I hope that you'll consider enhancing the uses of Paul Davis Park with the installation of a few disc baskets. It's another good way to get outdoors and exercise. I need to also present this to the Parks Committee, but I don't see where they have meetings on the council, on the schedule, so I need to figure out how to go about doing that. But just another use of Paul Davis Park. It doesn't infringe upon what's already there, and they're out of the way, and they're not going to be a danger because they're going to be off in little tree alcoves, and it's just a nice extra use of the park. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And that's all we had signed up for citizen comment. Closes off item number 6. Item number 7, the consent agenda. So does council have, I know that you've read the consent agenda. Does council, anybody from council have anything that you'd like to pull from the consent agenda? No. Okay, nobody has anything they want to pull. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Okay, a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Consent agenda is passed. Takes us to item number 8, staff reports. First one, A, City Administrator Monthly Activity Report. Nancy, you have the floor.
Thank you. There are several things that I want to add to the information that's in your package concerning my report. Tomorrow evening, the City of Garden Ridge will be hosting the Northeast Partnership Mayor's Meeting. Friday, from 5:30 to 7:30 at Paul Davis Park, the First Friday event will be occurring. This is the opportunity for citizens to come out and meet with Mayor and City Council. Gracie's Ice Cream will be there, and there will be waters and sodas available, compliments of Audie North Park and the Erickson family. On Friday, August the 13th at 1:30 p.m. Here in the council room, the City of Garden Ridge will be hosting the Comal County Emergency Management Meeting. And then I would also like to report, last month I spoke to you all about the reorganization of the Public Works Department. And there is a new face sitting at the table across from council. I wanted to report that Dwayne Scognio has been promoted to the utility foreman position, and Eric Lohman has a new title. He is now the public facilities foreman. And these gentlemen will be presenting the applicable reports to their department. That's all I have.
Outstanding, Nancy, thank you. Council,
You're
anything
welcome.
for Nancy? Okay. Congratulations, Eric and Dwayne. Can't wait to get your reports.
I was
It'll be required here in just a little bit, right? Okay, on to item 8B, Finance and Human Resources Monthly Activity Report. Karen.
So I don't have anything to add to my report that was in the consent agenda, but I do want to update you on the American Rescue Plan. At our last meeting, I informed you that I had applied for it. Well, now I'd like to inform you that we've been approved for it. However, the amount we thought we were going to get, the $900,500, was incorrect. The amount that we're going to get is $1,023,000. The first payment will be coming in sometime this month. That's all I have.
Wow. You can talk as much as you want, as long as you got news like that. Do we know, do we have a better idea of what we will be able, as a city, to spend that money on?
We have all the documentation that I was able to download from TDM and the Treasury to make that program work. However, it's very in-depth, and so I'm actually looking at a consultant, getting some information, just putting some feelers out, because it's very technical. And, you know, working with the federal government, I don't want to make a wrong move on how we spend the money. So we just kind of have some feelers out there, and we'll keep you updated.
Thank you, Karen. Great work. Council, anything else?
Congratulations again.
Thank
Nice
you.
work.
Keep screwing up like that.
Okay.
You've had a very busy couple of months, so it's going to stay busy. Thank you very much. Okay, item number C, Marissa, City Secretary Monthly Activity Report. You have the floor.
Thank you. The only thing I want to highlight on my report is the budget public hearing is coming up. It will be on Tuesday, August 17th, here in the City Council chambers at 6 p.m. What you're seeing on the screen is the legal notice that has been posted on the bulletin board and on the website. And I just want to point out that we are still accepting written comments for anyone that is unable to attend in person or does not feel comfortable attending in person. And as long as they follow the guidelines on this document, which is they have to be submitted directly to me by email 2 hours before the meeting. It goes into detail about basically the same rules that we have when people are here in person, that they're limited to a 3-minute period, and then like we've been doing in the past for public hearings during COVID, I would read them into the record. Unless they show up to the meeting and they decide to speak, then their comments wouldn't be read. But I just wanted to highlight that and point that out to anyone that has been looking at the budget or is concerned about not being able to attend the public hearing or not wanting to attend. They still are able to provide their input to council. That's all I have.
Thank you, Marissa. Council, anything else? Okay, thanks again. On to item number D, Police Department Monthly Activity Report. Chief.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Most everything is contained in the report. I do want to highlight, however, day before yesterday, we had put out some information about TxDOT closing FM 22 at Cibolo Creek Bridge Thursday night. That changed today. We're getting that information put back out. They are delaying that till next Wednesday. So the bridge should be open Thursday evening. However, next Wednesday, the 11th, it will be shut down from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. They're anticipating a bunch of weather in the next day or two, so they postponed that construction work. Also, we have received word. We checked with TxDOT a couple months back about traffic lights at Shanethal and 3009, we're initially told, nope, nothing's going on. We started seeing posts being poured, concrete, things being done, or I contacted them again, hey, looks like lights are going in. Initially, we were told, yes, lights are going in. Now we're being told lights are going in, but they are only flashing yellow. They are not traffic control signals. I get it, I don't see the point either, but that is what TxDOT is telling us is happening right now. So wanted to pass that on and let everybody know that it is not going to be a traffic control device at this time. It's merely a flashing yellow light. I'm just the messenger. I had nothing to do with that.
Karen, anything to add? Do you have any more good news for us?
And the only other thing, we reached back out yesterday. I reached back out to all the news media. We passed our 1-year anniversary on our homicide case. So I did put that out. KSAT ran it. Some of the other stories, I think we're going to have another one run next week. Just want to give you all a heads up on that we are still actively working that and looking for input on that. So you will hear about it again over the next few days, I hope more.
Outstanding, Chief. Thanks. Council, anything else for the chief?
Yeah, I did see it on Ken's 5 today too, so.
Oh, nice. Thank you. They don't always tell us when they're airing it, so we just have to kind of find out.
And that was an excellent email that you sent out to everybody, so thank you for doing that. That was
Thank you, my pleasure.
very well written. Okay, thanks. All right. Item number 8E, Public Works Department, Monthly Activity Report. Public Facilities Foreman, Mr. Eric. Sir.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Nothing to add, a few things to highlight. The final hands-free devices have been installed in regards to the doors, both at the community center and City Hall. That's all been finished, and as of next week, a good portion of this year's kitten horde will be available for adoption once they get vetted. So if anybody's in the market for a kitten, please let me know. That's all I have to add.
Outstanding. Anything for Eric? Okay, great job. And to utilities, Dwayne.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. First, the Edwards Aquifer. For the month, we've used 5.90 acre-foot. On the year, 39.71. We have 602.40 acre-foot available, and we have put the 2252 as primary, and we're going to be monitoring usage very closely. Our bacteriological samples on the distribution system, we had 6 last month, all 6 passed. Our raw samples, 4, all 4 passed. And 31 chlorine samples, all of those passed. And our water loss for July of 21, 7.3%. It puts our yearly average at 8.6. We see those numbers going down. And meter reads, 1,681. Work orders, 224. Locates, 16. And for a while, we've had well number 9 at Schoenthal was down. It's been up and operable. We've got it back online as well. So we're doing real well right now.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. Council, anything else?
So I
Jesse.
saw that question. First, congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you, sir.
AMI project is off the list now, so is that 100% complete now?
Yes, yes, sir. Excuse me, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Great question. Anybody else? Okay. Item number 8F, Library Monthly Activity Report. Ms. Linda, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening. You know, August is like the Sunday of the summer. It should be a day of rest, Sunday should, but we often are going around trying to desperately finish up everything from the weekend. And we've scheduled a few extra things for August so we can get everything in before school starts and people get into a more regimented routine. This time I did include a second page, and I said, here's some things you probably know but have forgotten that you know. I won't go, I'm sure you all read it with great interest and maybe slept with it under your pillow, but a couple of things I think are important. We have, Libby has it's our electronic library, and you can check out books and audiobooks. Well, now we have Simply E, which comes to us through some grants from Amigos Library Service, and they got it from DPLA, Digital Public Library Access. This adds about 300,000 more books. You can also check out artifacts and articles from libraries and museums around the country, and that's about 4 million more activities. Did you know? You can read the Mueller report if you choose, or you can read the impeachment papers of Trump, or of the 1805 impeachment of one of the Supreme Court justices, Samuel Chase. All kinds of things. Or you can read some of the books from the bestseller list of a couple of weeks ago. So it's very helpful. And so we're proud to have that now. We also added to our online catalog it's an add-on program, and it has some really incredible features. In fact, I thought they were so good that I made 2 YouTube videos so you can find out all about them. But one thing, if you look up a book and you like that book, number 1, you can write a review. I'd love that. Or number 2, they will tell you a little bit about the author. They will tell you if this is part of a series. They will give you reviews, professional reviews, and other people just who read the book, your peers who read the book, or they will say, if you like this book, here's some others you may like. It's got a lot of information, so just play with our online catalog. So if there's anything on here you would like to ask me about, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Linda. Council? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much. Okay, that concludes item number 8 with staff reports. We open up item number 9, city engineer projects and status reports. Sam, welcome. Your floor.
Good evening. Sam Johnson, Tri-Hydro City Engineer. Starting off with item number 1, the only thing to update, this is for the TxDOT 2252 water line relocation. We already started our design work. So we started last week going through all the information from TxDOT, so we're starting our design of that water line project. And as far as the loan application, we got word today that it didn't make the August board date. It's going to be in September. So we're looking at approval in early to mid-November for that loan. But like I said, we already started the design, so we'll kind of be ahead of the curve. For item number 2, the wastewater project, we're doing pretty well on that project. The force main has been pressure tested, passed all tests. We're in the process of setting up a pre-final walkthrough to kind of check the system, make sure everything's according to the plans and things of that nature. We also have the tank site pretty much done. We just need the communications to come in. CPS Energy needs to set a power pole, and we need to get the AT&T service connected for the auto dollar so we can call out if there's emergencies or things of that nature. And then the last thing, the sewer ordinance, we have that written up and it's still in review, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Sam. Council, anything else?
Quick question, sir. Do you have any idea when you'll have that ordinance available? You said you said it's in progress.
Yes, it's in review.
It's on my plate.
Is it your salad plate or your entree?
Yeah, kind of my salad plate. I will have it for Nancy by the end of next week.
End of next week?
End of next week, I will have it for Nancy's review to begin issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kay. Any other questions? Sam, you said that the SIB loan being a month later than we had thought, that's not going to affect anything, just makes us ahead of the power curve? Like you
Right,
said?
we got a task order approved to get the work started.
Okay.
That loan was gonna be used to finish off the
Okay.
design. So we have enough to get started with it and pretty much get it all done. But once we get the loan, funds from the loan, then we can finish off the project, get it to
Okay.
100%.
Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.
Anything else for Sam? Okay, thanks so much. That concludes item number 9. Item number 10, City Commission and Committee Reports, Recommendations, and Possible Actions. 10A, Planning and Zoning. Dr. Miller, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, council. We had a robust meeting in July. Several things were discussed. It was a good working meeting. We had an update on a off-site presentation that took place in the city by a potential developer of the corner of FM 3009 and FM 2252. Quick Trip gas stations is going to be a potential developer of that property. They have not yet appeared before Planning and Zoning. Only 2 of the commissioners attended that meeting. I thought it was appropriate that no more of us attended the meeting. They came back and told us, basically there was a mini public hearing with a lot of questions from the residents that did attend. We await their presentation to the Planning and Zoning Committee whenever they choose to submit their paperwork. I'd like to thank the city staff again for briefing us on the sewer project and the FM 22 expansion. Fortunately or unfortunately, this will occur several times, at least as we get our new commissioners up to speed. We've changed over 3 new commissioners in the last 4 months, and actually 4 commissioners in the last 6 months or so. At the present time, 1 vacancy exists, and we anticipate interviews at next week's meeting. I haven't got the agenda as of yet. So we'll fill that in, but it will necessitate continued briefings on the sewer project and FM 22 as we get those new commissioners up to speed. They're very anxious, and we are anxious, and they seem to work well with the older commissioners, which they outnumber at this point in time. Number 3, we reviewed the new draft zoning ordinance changes. This was basically a last-minute once-over. It was basically clarifications and changing of some wording before we put it out to the public and to City Council. There was a quick discussion again of the master land use plan and map. Most of the meeting, which was very, very well received, we had a very excellent and necessary presentation. I think it was titled The Introduction to New Zoning Ordinance. This was a PowerPoint put together by Commissioners Diaz, Jacquemin, and Council members Valdez and Bauer. It was basically an overview of the changes in Ordinance 13, which has been 3 years in the making, and is finally coming to a close. It will be available eventually on the website. You can hear what we heard by looking at the video of the Planning and Zoning meeting and get a quicker update. Again, it represents an overview of the changes, and the remainder of the meeting was fine-tuning, editing, and occasionally criticizing or critiquing the presentation. We also started to consider the cascade of options for getting the word out about the changes in Ordinance 13. such as the presentation of city council, using the various aspects of the media, public hearings, and postcards about public notice examination, which will probably require examination of the tax rolls so we can reach all the Garden Ridge residents and commercial entities. We're finally getting down to the home stretch and we're getting excited about things. Questions from me, from the council?
Right to left.
Um,
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Jessica. I wonder if, well, I know they would, the newbies maybe could stream some of the previous sessions, some of the more relevant sessions to the thing. They could fast forward through a lot of it, but to get a flavor for questions that have been raised and issues that are, you know, sort of repeated issues, if you will, ongoing concerns, maybe?
That's an excellent idea, and I'll put it on the, something to be mentioned at next week's meeting. I know myself, I take advantage of the video archive from time to time. The problem I'm having, and I'll bring this up at the meeting too, is all of us seem to have the same problem that city council has with the microphone. And if you're looking at the video, a lot of times you can see people's lips moving and can't hear anything, even though you've maxed out the volume on your computer. And we just can't, I don't know if there's some way we can automatically turn it on. Yeah, because I'm as guilty as anybody else. And matter of fact, I may be part of the problem. I may leave mine on all the time and cut off everybody else. But I will bring it up at next commission meeting. Other questions?
Jesse?
No, I was just going to say I'm glad we're in the final stretch and
Yes.
looking forward to that coming to council.
Thanks for your help, Jesse. I mean, we couldn't have done it. Some of us are getting kind of a little burnt out after 3 years dealing with it. I'm glad you weren't one of them.
You're welcome.
Dr. Miller, again, on behalf of the city, thank you for what you and planning and zoning and all of your commissioners are doing, fellow council members that are working so hard to get this endeavor, like you said, this 3-year project, this 3-year very important endeavor, ready for prime time and ready to go public. And the timing is very, very good as we finish or complete the initial portions of our wastewater project, as 2252 gets under construction, and we're getting phone calls regularly now from developers and landowners about, hey, what is the zoning, what are the changes looking like, and what can we put there? So it's coming, and it's coming fast, so thanks for all of your work.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Thanks. Okay, on to, what is it we doing? We're 10B, Quarry Commission. Chairman Hawley, sir?
And how are all of you? We finally had a quarry meeting, and wow, it's been a long time. We had like 45 blasts over the last time we had a meeting. So that went well. Most of the blasts, we were all normal or well within city, state, and government guidelines, so we had no issues there. But we still have a blasting company that needs to get a permit, and they've filed their permit so that they can continue blasting. That's on your agenda here. We accepted it. We looked at it. We feel it's accurate and whatnot. City administrator looked it over. Looks like it's okay. So we need your approval to move on with that one.
Okay, thank you. So on to item 10B11, take action on the recommendation. I'm making the assumption that everybody's read the request from Buckley Powder Company and their partial exemption permit to conduct blasting activities at the Hanson Quarry for the period of October 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2022, otherwise known as fiscal year 22. So with that in mind, any discussion or a motion to recommend?
I move that we approve the partial exemption permit.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the partial exemption permit for Buckley Powder Company. Do I have a second?
I second it.
We have a second. Do we have any follow-on discussion? I'll call it to a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. So we're on to item B12, set annual fee for the partial exemption permit. Nancy?
The partial exemption permit that goes, fee that goes along with the permit is recommended to increase by 5% over last year's fee, and that total fee would be $28,529.31.
Any further on questions or follow-on questions for Nancy on that? Any follow-on discussion? Okay, can I get, if there's no follow-on discussion, can I get a motion to approve or set the annual fee for the partial exemption permit?
I move we set the annual fee per the the letter presented dated July 2021.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. All right, back to you for B2, 2.1, expiring terms of some commissioners on the Quarry Commission. So receive recommendation to take action on the reappointment of Commissioner Diaz to serve another term with the term expiring September 30th, 2023. Mr. Hawley, back to you.
Yes, and we've talked with him. He's willing to stay on the commission for another term, so we were glad to accept him and say, yes, please stay. And so we need your permission to continue on with that, of course.
Okay, I'm assuming that we're going to be okay with this, but is there any follow-on discussion for that? Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to reappoint Commissioner Diaz to serve another term.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. On to number 2.2, receive recommendation and take action on the reappointment of Commissioner Mudge and Commissioner Shands to serve another term, terms expiring September 30th, 2023, as specified in Ordinance number 210-02-2018, Section 3E, for the purpose of good cause. So background on this comes into play with, in our Ordinance 210, you can't, a commissioner can't serve more than 4 consecutive terms in a row without a year break, unless council says, hey, there's good cause for it. So Chairman Hawley, I'll take it back to you for discussion and introducing it to us, or your recommendation, please.
Okay, well, our recommendation is that please let them stay. But with that being said, Commissioner Mudge, he says that he would be willing to stay until we can find a replacement for him, because he has many other things he has going on in his life, and so he'll hang around as long as he has to, but he still needs to let it go. And Commissioner Shands, he's willing to hang around as long as you guys will allow it. Sort of like me. We've been around a little while.
And sir, we appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to do this and be around to serve on this commission, and we thank you for your expertise. So for council, for discussion from me, this is one of those things in Ordinance 210 that I find more of a solution in search of a problem, but rather than going through and talking about later on amending 210, is there any discussion that you guys want to talk about that would be other than good cause to say, please continue serving?
I just have a question. Did you have any people who express an interest on serving on the Quarry Commission?
Yes, I have two. The first one, she's willing to serve, but she's going to be replacing Commissioner Hadid's position. And it just so happens she missed the last meeting, but I've talked with her since, and she's not going to miss it again, okay? So that's her. But there's still a need for other commissioners. Just like everywhere else, there is need for commissioners. And so maybe the idea of, being able to take a year off and then maybe go to a different commission for a short period of time, and then you could come back or something like that. But something needs to be done so that we can make this more easy.
Thank you. Any other further questions from council? Okay, so I'm assuming that we don't have to have a discussion on this unless you guys have something else to add. Can I get a motion to approve for good cause extending these terms?
I move to approve the reappointment of Commissioner Mudge and Commissioner Shands to serve another term.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Okay. We'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously, which is a good thing. All right. And then to finish off, you're still in the hot seat, sir. You have a monthly report for us, or anything to add?
No, there's nothing really else to add. The fact is that the Quarry Commission did their blasting, like I said, over the 6 months that we weren't meeting, it seems like at least, and they've kept it well below the standards set by the city, by the state, and by federal law, so. And they're doing good business, and they're trying to still maintain a good rapport with the city, so. No, that's about it.
So that's a great transition. If I can add and let the council and the city know that Nancy and I had a great opportunity, and it was an honor to meet Mike Komendecki. Did I say that right? Komendeka, sorry, who is the lead counsel for Hanson, our quarry. We had a great meeting. Apologies for not getting his name right just now. And as you heard me say earlier, it's all about relationships and communication with the city. And I think through the Quarry Commission and your long history with Hanson, a good history and all of your hard work, we have that great relationship with a quarry in the city of Garden Ridge, and we thank you for that. And I know, sir, you and I have talked in the last couple months about that relationship, and I appreciate all of your hard work for that. And we're going to continue that relationship with Hanson. So thanks. That's all because of you guys. Appreciate it. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, on to item 10C, the Water Commission. Chairman Mueller. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor Erickson and council members. The first item that we have is about our Water Commission Place 1. We recommend appointing Ms. Brenda Reynolds to Water Commission Place 1 vacancy with a term expiring in September 30th, 2022. Ms. Reynolds is not here tonight, but she's currently a private consultant after a very long and successful career as a HR professional. She's lived here since 2006, and her son has gone to school in Garden Ridge since he was in kindergarten and will end up graduating out here in, I think, 2027 is when he is set to graduate. We're very excited about her and look very forward. I think you have her resume inside in your packet there. You can see she's very well qualified. So I hope that you will go ahead and approve our recommendation. So Mayor Erickson, back to you for
Yes,
questions
sir.
and approval.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions you want to ask about Mrs. Reynolds? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the recommendation from Water Commission to appoint Brenda Reynolds to the Water Commission?
I move
Place
to
1.
approve Ms. Reynolds to the Water Commission.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Welcome, Ms. Reynolds, to the Water Commission Place 1. On to item 2, monthly update. Sir, the floor is yours again.
Thank you. Nothing to add on our monthly update. You probably did notice that there is one leak adjustment that was applied for. It was actually an appeal that went in front of the Water Commission last meeting. We discussed that, and we asked for a little bit more information from the department. Hopefully, we'll bring that back to you next month. Other than that, our next scheduled meeting is on Tuesday, August 24th at 6 p.m. here in City Council. And sir, that is all from the Water Department, or from the Water Commission.
Yes, sir. Great job. Anything else for the Water Commission? Thanks for your time. Okay, on to item 10D, Wildlife Management Advisory Commission. There was not a meeting in July, so they don't have any update at this time. On to 10E, Parks Committee for their monthly update. Rod Chamberlain, sir, welcome. Nice shirt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you representing the Parks Committee. Our last general meeting was held on July 17th, and our next meeting is scheduled for August the 11th, next Wednesday, at the Blue Bonnet Room at the Community Center at 9:30 a.m. Our total number of volunteer hours that we managed on the Parks Committee for the month of July was 601 hours. 259 of those were by Parks Committee members. An additional 352 hours were by volunteers outside of the Parks Committee. I'd like to appreciate and thank all the people that did help volunteer for the month of July. Did an outstanding job overall. Our primary focus over the last 30 days has been working to clean up and properly store all of the items that we use for the 4th of July event. And also we held 2 debrief meetings, if you would, to discuss how we could possibly improve or expand the 4th of July celebration for next year. What's planned for the next 60 days is installation of Scout Joey Zerniak's Eagle Scout project over in Paul Davis Park. It is underway. Actually, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we'll be out starting to do work. If any of you want to put on your grub clothes and come out, we're more than happy to have you join us. Any takers? Yes? Okay. The other thing that we're working on is the city administrator working with updating ordinance number 24. Ordinance number 24 covers the rentals of the facilities of Paul Davis Park. Once the review is completed with Nancy, the city administrator and her team, then we're hoping to bring it back in front of the council for your consideration and ultimately your approval. Additionally, the Parks Committee is working to update our city website as well. And we've already started working on our next 2 key activities. The first one is Texas Arbor Day in early November. Our focus there is basically planting of new trees and bushes to ensure our parks have new growth and can be there for future generations to enjoy, and as well as a general cleanup of the parks to ensure our parks are clean and that they're attractive for the members of our community. Next is the Christmas tree lighting event. This will be held on the first Friday in December, first Friday evening this December the 3rd. And if the council has any suggestions or recommendations concerning those 2 events, please feel free to reach out to any of the Parks Committee tri-chairs, Dr. Jim Miller, Linda Potts, and or myself. And as always, we're available through our email address, gardenridgeparks with an S @gmail.com. And on that note, I'll turn it over to the mayor, you, and the council.
Thank you, Rod. Council, anything for Parks Committee?
Yeah. How many trees do you think you'll be planting this year?
Normally within our budgets, anywhere from, depend upon if we can find some donations, it can be anywhere from 6 to probably 12 trees.
6 to 12. Do you have one of those awls that dig the holes, or do you do it by hand? I'm just curious.
The answer is yes and yes, depend upon the size of the tree
okay.
they'll come into.
Just curious.
Normally, we have done the auger and gone ahead and, Public Works has been kind enough to support us in that endeavors to go ahead and make it a little bit easier for us to plane them.
How big of trees do you normally plant?
It's been in range anywhere from about 1.5 foot, so it's very small ones, all the way up to 8 feet. It's come into play. With us taking a position this last year, with COVID and everything else, we basically let the back part of Paul Davis Park continue to grow. In other words, not cutting it down as much. We actually have found probably 15 or 20 new plants that we've been told by the naturalist, Sidney Segovia, that there really are kind of rare or unique or native to Texas. So we've actually gone ahead and wired those and protect them and give them a chance to grow as we go forward from that side. So we're pretty excited about that from that area.
Thanks, John. Anybody else?
Thank you for what you do, the whole committee.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time and the support.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, on to item number 10F, Volunteer Garden Ridge. Nancy.
Okay. During the month of July, there were a total of 837 volunteer hours in our city. 8 of those were for the bill stuffing, 125 volunteer hours in the library. The Parks Committee had a total of 352 hours with all of their activities. Garden Ridge Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association volunteered 175 hours for the July 4th event. The Lions Club volunteered 162 hours for the July 4th event. And we had some other citizens who volunteered a total of 15 hours for that event as well. So it was a busy, busy volunteer month.
Thank you, Nancy. Anything else from council for Nancy? Okay. Thank you. On to item number 11, approvals and authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. Item 11A, the 2021 tax rates. A1, review the 2021 no new revenue, voter approval, and de minimis tax rate calculations. Nancy, the floor is yours again.
Thank you. You received the tax rate information actually late yesterday afternoon because we did not receive it here until Monday afternoon, and then we needed the time to evaluate. Have you all had an opportunity to look at the tax rate proposal chart? Okay. The 2020 tax rate currently is 0.321106. However, due to our increased property valuations and, of course, the new legislation and how we calculate tax rate and the limit on the percentage with which we can increase our tax rate, the tax rate for 2021 will be lower than we've seen in quite a while. The first calculation is your no new revenue rate, which totals 0.296123 cents. Then we have the voter approval rate, which is the no new revenue rate plus an increase of 3.5%. That totals 0.304963 cents per $100 valuation. Then we have the unused increment rate, which is the voter approval rate plus the increment of the 3.5% increase that we did not use in 2020's tax rate calculation. So we can take our voter approval rate and we can include that 0.000186 increment to a total of 0.305149 per $100 valuation. Then we have the de minimis rate. That equates to 0.35713 cents per $100 valuation. However, the de minimis rate subjects the city to a special election. Your no new revenue rate does not require a public hearing. However, that rate will bring in an amount that's significantly less than what was proposed in our 2022 proposed budget. Your voter approval rate gets closer to what we have in that proposed budget, and then your unused increment rate gets even closer. After reviewing this, giving this a lot of thought, working with Karen as well, it is recommended that your voter approval rate plus the unused increment rate of 0.000186 be the proposed rate for tax rate for 2021 tax year for the city of Garden Ridge. I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I hope I have not totally confused everyone.
All right, Nancy, on behalf of the council and the city, I want to thank you and Karen for all of the ninth inning work that you did after receiving this on Monday late afternoon to put everything together, to brief me yesterday with your recommendation and all the numbers, and then send it to council immediately after that. And then council, thanks for your work and diligence of looking over what Nancy sent to all of us last night to look at the math we've done, that she's done, that Karen's done, to come up with this answer. So we got this clear for everybody out in the audience and everybody online. So if we use the no new revenue rate, the first one listed, we come in well under what we had planned for, a very conservative and lean budget that we sent to the city secretary last week to the tune of, we budgeted 1.8 million, and this came in at 1.7 million and some change. The voter approval rate, so that's no new revenue plus 3.5%. We still come in under what we budgeted. It's a lean, conservative budget at 1.809, and we budgeted 1.818. So what Nancy's coming to us with a recommendation on her behalf and Karen, is what she said, the unused increment rate, which is voter approval rate plus the 2020 unused increment rate of voter approval rate. Requires a public hearing, which we already have, we can put on September 1st. Doesn't require a special election. And Nancy, back me up on the math that we did yesterday with this. What that means to all of us out there for property taxes is in 2022, for the taxes paid on the average home value in Garden Ridge, which was $495,000, we paid an average of $1,591.90. What we are proposing, it would go up to, for the average home, which is now $638,000, sorry, $535,638 would go up to $1,634.49.
Correct.
So a little over $40, and your property value already went up with that, and we got to run a city with what we, as close to what we have budgeted as possible, and that brings us in at $1,811,000. So we're still under by 7,000, but we can make that work. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, we put it in pilot math so I could understand it. So, all right. Anything else to add before we give it to council?
The one thing that I would like to add is the new value that has been added to the rolls effective January 1, 2021, is not included in your adjusted taxable value. That equates to $14,166,066. When you apply the maintenance and operation rate for the voter approval plus the unused increment, we would bring in an additional $31,094, which will offset that difference between what we have in our proposed budget and what the rate brings in based on the adjusted taxable value that's used in the calculations. So we will even have a little bit of money left over.
We have some breathing room,
We do have a little bit of breathing room.
which is good. So we don't have to dip into our reserves any more than we had to do in 2020. So, 2021. Okay, anything else? That was great.
No, not unless there's any additional questions.
Okay, council, for this discussion, I'm going to go one by one because eventually we have to do a roll call vote. So, John, do you have any comments or discussion?
It took a little discussion, following it, but it seems pretty straightforward.
It took Nancy a while to help me to understand it, but she did a great job. So
Yeah.
great job. Lisa?
I mean, is there any advantage, disadvantage between doing the voter approval rate that way and then the unused increment rate? I mean, there's only like a $1,500, $2,000 difference between those two.
There is a very small difference there. However, we can only bank those increments for 3 years.
Okay, so they expire.
And after seeing how our tax rate now for the past 2 years, how it's affected us, I don't really see us banking very much more in increments over time.
Okay.
So that was one of the reasons behind my proposal to go on and use that.
Good to know. Thank you.
This is a great question. Anything else? Jesse?
No, first, thank you for the tutorial also on going through this. Very educational, and I appreciate your time. Everything makes sense. I followed it, and so no further questions. Thank you.
Todd?
No questions. It makes sense, which surprises me. After 7 years of sitting up here, this one made sense fairly quickly. I don't understand. I guess you guys did a better job of explaining it to me. So I got no real questions about it. It sounds good to me.
Thanks, Todd. Kay?
No, thank you for your work.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Karen. That was great. Like I said, ninth inning work. Glove save on your part with a very late coming in from Comal County. So, get back to the agenda. All right, so no more discussion on that. So number 2, proposed by recorded vote, a tax rate for the 2021 tax year. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve the 2022 tax rate, 2021 proposed tax rate.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Councilman McCaw. Do I have a second? Sorry. Go.
Let's refer to it as the proposed tax rate.
Because we have to have a public hearing.
Proposed.
All right.
Proposed.
Proposed tax rate for 2021. Do we need to rephrase the motion to approve then? You're okay? All right. So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Valdez. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, a roll call vote. Council Place 1.
Aye.
Council Place 2. Aye. Council Place 3.
Aye.
Council Place 4.
Aye.
Council Place 5.
Aye.
Okay, the vote is unanimous. So that is our proposed tax rate for the 2021 tax year. Marissa, Nancy, we're good? Okay. On to item number 3, announce date, time, and place for the proposed 2021 tax rate public hearing and adoption. And that is going to be, let's say it verbatim here, the 2021 tax rate public hearing and adoption will take place on Wednesday, September 1st, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers at Garden Ridge City Hall. And on to B, Comal Appraisal District Board of Directors election. And Nancy, I'll give that to you then.
Okay. The Board of Directors for Comal Appraisal District, the terms of office, or they're seeking nominations for candidates to fill board positions for the term 2022 through 2023. They are, at this point in time, this is being brought to you so that you can bring some nominations forward. And we will have to submit those nominations via a resolution. So this was basically put on the agenda to make you aware of it, come up with some nominations. The list of the positions that are open, actually there's 2 positions that are saying no, that they're not willing to continue serving. In the past, we have, for a number of years, we had representation from Garden Ridge on that board. So if y'all want to discuss it further.
Okay, council? Anybody?
This can be placed on the agenda next month as well for further discussion. We're not actually seeking individuals at the moment unless y'all have some ideas.
Go.
I'd like to get the word out to the city and see if we do have somebody that's interested, because it would be very, very nice that Little Garden Ridge stuck over in the corner of Comal County isn't forgotten. That has happened to us in previous years. Notice the 40-some-odd years between, when Comal ISD started opening a high school and when we got one down here, 40, 50, whatever we're on. So yeah, I guess I'd like to see it on the agenda for next month, and let's start asking around, folks. Every one of us up here knows a whole lot of people. Maybe there's somebody out there that wants to do it. If I read this correctly, it could even be one of us. So, okay, that was in your out loud voice.
Keep it in your family.
Okay, Todd, I completely agree with you. So, and I would venture to say that the whole council agrees with you. So Nancy, I think what we'd like to do is leave this on the agenda for next month.
Sure.
And then the 6 of us canvass the people that we know, and let's get somebody on the board, because I'm reading this and I see City of Shirts, Bernie ISD, Bernie, Comal County, Bernie, No Garden Ridge. So, Jesse, did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed
Okay, good, all right, good. All right, anything else we need to do on that, Nancy?
We just need to have a resolution with our nominee to them by October 15th.
Okay, let's put it on September's agenda. We got a month. Anybody else have anything?
Is this something that could go in the grapevine, or?
Your congratulations.
Yeah, you're so.
Whatever we need to do, Marissa and Nancy, to get the word out, let's do that. And then we'll talk about it again in September with congratulatory remarks. To Jesse, okay. No pressure, sorry. All right, anything else on that? All right. That concludes item 11. Now, item 12, updates, city council projects. 12A1, traffic and development along FM 3009 and FM 2252 corridor. Lisa and Todd.
Well, I think Todd originally brought it forward, so we had the 2252 development on there every time. But I will say, it's just Providence that we've had so much activity on 3009 and now on 2252 as far as traffic and construction goes. I wish we had a better way, and I'm assuming, Chief, that they don't give you a whole lot of advance notice either. I wish we had a better, any kind of construction that happens on 3009 or 2252. I mean, I was getting messages about 3009. What's going on? I said, I don't know. They don't tell us. Okay. Okay. I don't know if there's a way to improve that or not. I don't know. Any ideas?
I mean, when I initially called them about the traffic light, I called the guys that run the traffic light section, and they said, we don't know anything about a traffic light. So, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
I can make phone calls, but people claim they don't know. And I don't know if it's a predetermined answer that they give out just to hush everybody, or if things are just honestly kept in the dark till the last minute.
Okay.
It took me a week to hear back from TxDOT concerning the light there at 3009 in Schoenthal.
Right. It's frustrating.
Is Will Lockett not our rep anymore?
Yes, he is. He's the area engineer.
Right.
So it sounds to me like we've said a couple times during this meeting, and having CPS here, it's all about relationships and communication. So I remember in 2017, Mayor Thompson invited Will Lockett out here, and he came and spoke to us at council, just like CPS did. So I think it's probably time we do that again and solidify that relationship with Will Lockett and talk about communication. Speaking of communication, Chief, I think you're doing a great job. When you get those emails, you send them right out. And they go out even before I say, hey, Chief, I think this needs to get out, right? So you beat me to the punch, which means you're a great chief. So keep doing what you're doing. And when we get word about TxDOT projects and 3009 getting repaved, which is great, it's been frustrating, I know, for all of us trying to get in and out of the city, but thanks for your patience with that, because 3009 is being repaved, and that's great. And we'll continue to get the word out as quickly as we can with bridge updates on 2252 and whatever we can do. But let's get Will Lockett out here and reestablish that relationship or solidify that and talk to him. Okay.
Will used to attend the county luncheons, just so you know.
Hopefully he's there
Monday,
next week. Yeah,
maybe.
Monday, yeah.
Maybe Monday.
Okay. We'll see. And I can invite him personally to the next
Or
council
block his
meeting or in
car,
October.
whatever it takes, yeah.
Whatever we need. Okay, anything else on that? Okay.
I got a moment or two to talk. You took most of what I was going to suggest, so very, very nice reading the tea leaves very quickly there, because I've had a number of people contact me about I can't repeat the verbiage that was used about the asphalt going down on 3009 because it wasn't particularly polite. My suggestion was going to be is some TxDOT guy needs to come in here and have his hat in his hand because it wasn't handled well. It wasn't communicated. The traffic control plan was almost non-existent, in my opinion. When I left the special meeting we had the other night, I drove down to see how long the line was to get out of the city. It was back over both railroad bridges. From in front of our city here, I couldn't see where it was up that way, but I went that way, back down towards 35, and it was almost back to I-35 backed up. So there's a problem there. The other side of it, let's go to the positives. because we covered the 3009 and TxDOT and the issues with them. If you build it, they will come, and this goes out to the city engineers, also goes out to P&Z. Just in the last couple of days, I've got a number of phone calls, and I have a hunch, because I've referred them all over to the city, but it's from people that do real estate that know me through that, or personal connections and that kind of thing. They own property along 2252, and they want to know, A, is the sewer line done, and B, what can they build? And they're not talking about building it in 5 years or 10 years. They're talking about, getting a shovel in the ground in the next 6 to 12 months. So we're going to see a lot of that go fast. There's a lot of interest. One guy called me up, he's a buddy of mine, and he's like, hey, we want to put, he owns like an acre and a half along 2250. He was like, I want to put in a multi-use facility to include a bar, restaurant with a kiddie playground and all those kind of things. And I'm like, yes, let's do it, but it's got to come through the city. So it's coming. It's going to be a fun ride.
It is. Back to 3009 and the repaving. That's TxDOT, and also, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, Comal County was in on that? It seems like that initial email was from someone in Comal County. Was that not correct?
I believe it's a TxDOT project.
Okay. Okay. It was probably another email I got about it. That's, okay, that's what I read. All right. Thanks. Yep, it's all about communication. One thing I want to add about traffic, while we're talking about it here as an agenda item. We can't control the growth in traffic. That's all based on where we live, where we've chosen to live, and the influx of people coming into the central South Texas area. We can't control greater amounts of traffic. What we can influence and help mitigate that increase in traffic is how the entrances to these new businesses, retail or whatever, how those entrances and exits go in the platting process, planning and zoning, and coming to us with how it fits into the master plan, that it's good, reasonable access in, reasonable access out. Specifically, like we've discussed with the possibility of QT going in on the corner of 2252 and 3009, we can actually help mitigate traffic because their entrance is going to be off of 2252 if that's what they end up proposing to us, which would cut down on the traffic going into the other gas station on the other side and the problems that creates, if you guys understand what I'm saying. So that can help mitigate a problem with the increase in traffic at that very, very busy intersection. So that's something that we as council and planning and zoning will have to look at to make sure that's being planned correctly for all of us as the traffic increases. Questions for me on that? Great, okay, I'll stop talking. All right. 12A2, bulk dumpsters and brush along FM 3009. Jesse?
Yes, I had this item added, we have our bulk dumpsters for, brush and whatever, every other month out here. And while I see some of our residents, cover their brush or tie it down, there's many that do not. And I see along 3009 brush along either of the sides or even in the middle of the road, people trying to go around it. Hazard in my opinion. So I don't know what we can do as far as that, but at least I would like to highly recommend to our residents to tie down their stuff, or cover it. But I'm interested to see what other thoughts council would have.
Were you driving behind me the other day? Is that?
No.
Okay, sorry.
It was me, Mayor.
Okay. Anybody have thoughts for Jesse on that?
Just a comment, since dumpsters is a word on the agenda, I would like to thank whomever is responsible for putting up the notice on the Batcave sign, reminding people bring your ID, because that's a personal issue of mine, that there are those people working there, particularly on Sundays, that don't check IDs. This is a service that our citizens pay for. It is not the county service, and it bothers me to see people taking advantage of our citizens, going in there and just dumping their stuff no matter where they live. Thank you for the sign.
It's all Marissa. Thank you. Anything else on that item? Thanks, Jesse and Kay. Kay, you're still on board here for 12A3, City of Garden Ridge, 50th anniversary next year. Go ahead.
It will happen.
Outstanding.
And Kat may be working overtime without pay on this matter, but she has not reached out to me with, so we anticipate getting together soon. Thank you.
Outstanding, thanks. On to item number 13, discussion of future agenda items. Anybody? For me, I'd like to put CenterPoint Energy as a future agenda item. Anybody else? That's our gas utility company. Okay, item number 13 is closed. Item number 14, citizen comment period, limited to 20 minutes total. You don't have to have signed up for it. You got 1 2-minute period. So anybody want to come forward? Mr. Hawley. Please, sir, state your name and your address so we copy that now.
John L. Hawley, 9916 Trophy Oaks Drive, Garden Ridge, Texas. Just some questions. CPS was here, and they talked about using generators, and I was curious if you've even thought about all this money that comes in, a generator that would support the city during this possible event that may occur that nobody knows when it's going to happen, but a generator would be nice. Secondly, the library, you have Simple Read. Is that something you can sign up on, or do you go online to do it, or do you need to go to the library to do that?
I can send you the directions, but
Sir,
it isn't.
we can't answer that. So it's, I should have said this before, so.
That's why it's.
Yeah, we can't interact with you, but you
Okay.
go on and talk. Sorry,
So,
Linda. It's
the
okay.
last thing is, since the park is working in, since the park committee is working in the parks, are those trees available to residents? Just a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawley. Anybody else want to come up and speak? Dr. Miller.
Dr. Jim Miller, 9910 Marie Meadow in Garden Ridge. It's interesting to hear discussion about the dumpsters and the trash flying off when the dumpsters are available. On the way to City Council this evening, on 2252, across from my subdivision, Regency Oaks, there's an old golf driving range. And during the last weeks, some ne'er-do-well has taken upon themselves to start dumping trash there. And it caught my eye tonight. The other day it caught my eye because it was old, it looked like a dresser or a chest of drawers. But tonight it caught my eye because now somebody's dumped a freezer there. And I don't know if it's the property owner's responsibility to take care of that. To me, it'd be as simple as putting a chain across the driveway so they can't get up in that area and dump it. Because police can't be everywhere at one time, and they probably do it in the still of the night and dump stuff. That's a new occurrence. I haven't seen furniture and stuff in the past. I've been there for 17 years. It's usually just some brush or some dirt or something like that. But now we're getting, household items, and I'm wondering if it's related to checking the IDs at the dumpsters over here, and they can't get in there to dump them out. I don't know, but I'd like to see somebody address it one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to item number 15, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. Remember, we can make comments, general announcements, or anything about the items listed below. Anybody have anything to add?
I do. Just a
Please.
heads up, as far as Comal ISD goes, the market on the 14th is going to be a back-to-school market, and all of the principals from the elementary school, middle school, and high school will be there, along with Mr. Kim. They'll each have a chance to meet and greet and pick up school supplies, and even a chance to dunk your teacher. So
Where is it?
It's at the Northeast Bible Church.
Part of Market Days.
Yeah, it's part of Market Days. Yeah.
Yeah, there is going to be a dunk tank, right?
Yeah, it's like a dunk bucket.
Okay. Dunk bucket. Thanks, Lisa. Anybody else? Okay. So on to item number 16, executive session. City Council will recess its open meeting and reconvene in executive session. Item A, pursuant to Texas Code Section 551.0711 and 551.0712, consultation with attorney, and 551.072, deliberations about real property for items 1 and 2. So we will go into recess right now. It is 8 o'clock, and we will reconvene in here for executive session at 8:10. Does that work? Okay. We're in recess. Thank you. We're going to reconvene the council meeting at 8:19 p.m. Item number 16, executive session, is closed. Item number 17, business items, is open. And there are no business items from the executive session. So item number 18 is now open. Adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn the meeting this evening?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 8:20 p.m. Thank you. Great job.